Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of VMblog's expert interview series. And today I'm excited to be speaking with Aylin Sali, the co-founder and the CTO at Runecast. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks, David.
So this is our first time doing one of these video interviews together. If we could, let's start by having you tell viewers a little bit about your background and what led you to Runecast.
Yeah, definitely. I am the CTO and one of the co-founders of Runecast. Before Runecast, I used to work for the Romanian Army and then for IBM, and I covered different engineering positions and leadership positions. And together with our CEO in Runecast, Stan Markov, who is VCDX number 74, and at that time he was the only VCDX in IBM. We helped set up the VMware Center of Excellence within IBM, and we helped grow a team there that was covering most of the highest critical issues that were reported and usually dealt with there.
And I know from past experiences with your company, Runecast has had some humble beginnings. If you would, tell the audience how the company has evolved over the years.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, as I mentioned, we worked in IBM, and actually I moved to the Czech Republic to work for IBM GTS, and this is where I met my fellow co-founders, all super excited and really skilled on virtualization, quite enthusiastic about it. And I will also use this opportunity to thank you, David, for actually guiding our steps, because we actually grew with content from you, from Duncan Epping's blog and William Lamb. So you were really quite essential for us developing into good VMware engineers. Yeah, so coming back to the roots, yeah, in IBM, where we all work together in the VMware Center of Excellence, we realized that there is a pattern in all the outages and all the issues that were actually affecting VMware infrastructures. We realized that more than 90% of the outages happening there were actually caused by known problems, which were already documented by VMware in their KB articles, or in the whole knowledge base of VMware, or in any best practice guides or even white papers. So we decided that, yeah, there has to be a better way to do it. So we took a leap of faith. We quit IBM, started working on a solution for this problem. And then 1 year later, we were ready to present at VMworld 2015. We had a small booth there, and we were just talking to potential customers, showing them our solution. And luckily for us, we actually managed to have one of our first paying customers, Verizon Wireless, who then served as a reference customer and helped us grow get more traction. We then got some Series A investment, and that led to growing the team, growing the scope of technologies that we cover. Because, yeah, as I mentioned, we started with VMware, covering VMware infrastructures, but then added the same intelligence from the Runecast Analyzer solution to AWS, Kubernetes, and Azure, and also with many more to come.
And I'd love if you could talk about some of the specific problems that Runecast is solving for your existing customers, and maybe talk through some of those what are the biggest pain points that they're seeing today.
Yeah, we have a range of customers from enterprises to really small customers. I think one of our smallest customers is a flower shop in Japan. And one of the largest is actually the biggest VMware customer in Europe, Amadeus, covering the whole airline industries, booking and ticket management solution. So the pain points we're addressing are mainly ensuring that they keep the lights on. So we help them keep availability or maintain availability of their environments, help customers with their security compliance, posture management, understanding different really important aspects of their infrastructure, from the configuration, so just enabling them to have a secure, reliable configuration, but also understanding if their infrastructure, hardware even, and their like drivers and BIOS versions are actually supported, and if they are known to cause any issues. So these are some of the key pain points that we are addressing. We started initially just covering proactive analysis, ensuring that outages are avoided and prevented. But then we added more and more functionality to this. So like covering now the hardware compatibility analysis, best practice analysis, security compliance, posture management, and very recently, just a few weeks ago, we released a vulnerability management module as well, just ensuring that the reported vulnerabilities that can affect the environment are identified before they can cause outages.
And it's, covering part of those pain points, maybe if you could give an example, pick out one of your customers and maybe talk about some of the success story that you've had there.
Yeah, definitely. As mentioned earlier, I'm actually quite proud of our customers. We have a big range, even like from deep sea to deep space, we like to call it, because we have some customers actually covering their local clusters, which are deployed on submarines, and even to deep space, where we have DLR, the German aerospace, as one of the early adopters of Runecast technology, and covering their mission critical infrastructure that enables them to have this the operations for the space missions that they're running. I would still really want to mention maybe one customer that uses a really broad set of the functionality, which is the DHU Healthcare from UK. They work with the UK NHS to provide a range of services, including the emergency phone service 111 in the UK. So DHU is relying on Runecast Analyzer to proactively identify any outages that can happen in the environment, so ensuring that really mission critical environment is always reliable and available. Together with that, they have to follow lots of compliance requirements. Obviously, working in healthcare, they are exposed to many requirements in terms of compliance and security. So we are also helping them to address that. And they also really benefit of the hardware compatibility analysis and upgrade planning functionality that Runecast Analyzer provides. So before they plan any upgrades of their vSphere infrastructure, they quickly create a report and check the state of the driver version, firmware, BIOS combinations, and they plan according to that, what exactly needs to be done. And that has saved a lot of time in preparation and in ensuring that the upgrades are always successful and they go really well.
And it seems, many of your clients that you've talked about here and just looking offline, right? They're running mission critical apps in some pretty interesting environments. So how does Runecast's knowledge base and AI technology help to keep the applications running optimally, since they are mission critical?
There are two secret ingredients to the Runecast Analyzer sauce. We started with rules engine that is actually quite sophisticated and is able to understand the configurations from different specific elements in the infrastructure, but not only the configuration of those elements, but even of related or relatable elements in the infrastructure. So we also have a patent for this rules engine. So that's one part of the value, and the second part is actually the AI-driven knowledge automation platform. We like to call that RICA, and we also have a European grant that is helping us to turn this internal project into a platform that will be available commercially soon, which helps us actually understand the requirements from all these different sources, like the VMware knowledge base or any best practices, any security vulnerabilities reported for VMware, Kubernetes, Azure, AWS, all the security compliance requirements. So this AI platform is actually using a lot of natural language processing, natural language understanding to translate from this human written content that we have in all these sources into rules and policies that are then used to identify and prevent the outages based on the configuration that we're also collecting.
Yeah, I've been following you guys for many years, and I've been well aware of everything that you've been doing in virtualization, which has been great. And talking with you today and just keeping up with what's going on recently, I know your products now seems to cover a lot more bases. You talked about we've gone from local virtualized applications. You mentioned Kubernetes, hybrid cloud, multi-cloud. I know things get complicated out there for buyers as messagings can overlap. So, let's kind of dig in. How does Runecast Analyzer differ from other products that seem to do some of the same things that you do?
Yeah, there are a set of differentiating factors. I would probably start with one of the most important, which is the fact that we are a fully on-prem solution. And that means that our customers can deploy Runecast Analyzer in their environment. So they can just download an OVA and deploy it in the VMware environment, or they can just easily deploy Runecast Analyzer from the AWS or Azure marketplaces. We also have a Helm chart that is used to deploy Runecast Analyzer in any Kubernetes environment, even if it's a managed environment in a cloud, in a public cloud, or a self-hosted on-prem solution. So all the rules engine is actually part of that on-prem virtual machine that is running, and we are feeding that rules engine with all the policies and all the knowledge that is gathered and translated from these online sources that is being fed to the rules engine, which runs fully on-prem. So actually no data leaves that environment, and this makes it especially appealing for customers with a high focus on security and privacy of their data. So anything from government, military, healthcare, financial services will actually benefit of this model. Because once you expose the configuration of your infrastructure, you really can trust the third-party provider. But as we've seen recently with so many high-profile leaks and security issues out there, you can never be too cautious, let's say. So by having an on-prem, it's a clear differentiating factor. Additionally, we are covering a hybrid, we are covering the hybrid cloud. So not only your VMware infrastructure, but all the public clouds. And I would even say that we will become from a hybrid cloud to like multi-layer, because we will be able to cover different layers in the IT infrastructures with some of the things that we're working on. So currently it's VMware plus public clouds, but we are also soon going to release support for operating systems, so Windows, Linux, and even some enterprise applications, SAP HANA. We already cover some best practices for SAP HANA, but we're also planning to extend that to even more enterprise applications.
And I've noticed that the company uses a term, Runecast for everything. It gets used quite frequently in different, the web and different documents that I've seen. Can you maybe tell us what that means to the company? And I know you sort of started mentioning some of the direction that you're heading, but do you have any other future enhancements or offerings that could be on the horizon that you might want to talk about?
Yeah, we might even have a Runecast for Tesla. Yeah, just kidding, partially. What our rules engine can actually do is really connect to anything that has an API or exposes the configuration through like any SDK or any other development-friendly interface. So the rules engine can actually ingest all that data, create a really sophisticated knowledge graph out of all the configuration that is incoming, and then we can traverse that and identify potential patterns by using any existing knowledge. So if there is any technology out there, any public clouds, any virtualization solution or enterprise application which has a good set of APIs and has a solid knowledge base, white papers, and is well covered by any vulnerabilities. So all the vulnerabilities that are reported, we can use our AI platform to crawl that, understand that, and create the policies automatically that are needed to cover that technology. Obviously, we started with the infrastructure because that really fits into this category of like really solutions that are used on a large scale and that they have a solid documentation set and really useful sources for automating the knowledge for. So yeah, we may have Runecast Analyzer for Tesla at some point. But besides that, on a near future term, let's say, we are planning to cover operating systems, some enterprise applications, Google Cloud, obviously, since we're covering the two biggest public cloud providers. Google Cloud is also on the roadmap. And together with that, we're trying also to help with the remediation, because we are discovering and exposing all these potential issues, outages, or security configurations that may lead to leaks or other issues. But we are also working on providing a platform for our users to remediate those exposures and those issues, and allowing users to customize our platform. So that's actually is one of the features that will be coming this year, where the users will have the ability to create any new policies and rules based on any internal best practices that that are used in the environment and any other use cases that they may have specifically for their environment.
And I feel like to do it justice, we really need to see, the product in action. Is there any way would you mind giving us a demo of the offering?
Definitely, yeah. We have lots of internal demo environments, but actually one of the best resources to use is still our online demo. So let me quickly jump onto that. Yes, I'm going to show you our online demo, which is available at demo.runecast.com. We have here a quick diagram of the demo environment. So we have a Runecast Analyzer appliance deployed on a vSphere infrastructure, which is connected to a bunch of vCenters, a Kubernetes cluster, a couple of AWS and Azure environments. And let's quickly log into that. Yeah, we just also released Azure and vulnerability management earlier. We listed Runecast Analyzer on the Azure marketplace. So whenever you log in, you'll always see any new functionality that is being added and covered in Runecast Analyzer. So this is the main dashboard covering a broad set of the functionality that we mentioned earlier. I will quickly jump into settings as well. So just to show you around like the different systems and technologies that Runecast Analyzer can connect to. So we can connect to the on-prem vSphere environments. We connect to the vCenter server, and from there we can also access some configuration on the ESXi's as well. If there is any NSXV and also NSXT appliance connected to that vCenter, we can also automatically discover and offer the user a way to connect to that and to be able to scan it. Because we're not only scanning vSphere, but we're also scanning NSXV, NSXT, vSAN, Horizon, and VMware Cloud Director as well. So yeah, you can connect to any of these environments very easily here. You can also connect to an Azure environment. So even though this appliance runs on-prem, if it has internet access, it can connect to your Azure environments or AWS environments, and even to Kubernetes clusters. So once we've set up all the connections, we can analyze the environment either manually, or we can set up a schedule. Most of our customers analyze their environments on a daily basis, but of course, if need be, it can be more frequent than that. And we can explore in the inventory view the whole environment. So we have a one view snapshot of all the connected systems and the issues that may affect them. So yeah, we can see the vCenters, Kubernetes, NSXT, vCloud Director environments that are covered. And we can also explore the potential issues affecting those. So quickly just looking at the issues reported for this ESXi host. Yeah, we can see that there are 244 issues, some of them being critical and some other like major and lower severity issues. We can also always explore the details and the specifics of the reported issue. And then in the configuration analysis part, we are covering all this functionality that relies really on capturing the configuration in the environment, capturing it as a graph of objects, and then analyzing the patterns according to some of these sources. So in the config key business covered, we're covering all the vSphere and NSXT, vSAN, vCloud Director knowledge base articles that are published by VMware. VMware has more than 30,000 knowledge base articles that our AI is continuously scanning and parsing and translating into policies and checks that can be executed in the environment. So here we can see the details of this issue, or in some cases the problems listed there can be quite severe, and in many cases actually even you don't even need to misconfigure anything in the environment. Even like default settings or on a freshly deployed ESXi can cause some issues under some conditions which are exposed and the KB article covers. So yeah, we can see what the issue is, and in findings tab we can also see the objects that are reported to have that issue. So this KB article, or the conditions that can trigger the problem described in the KB article, can happen at any time. You know, in the next 5 minutes or in the next 5 months, it's a latent issue that can be easily addressed by running Runecast Analyzer and scanning the environment. In best practices, we're covering all these technologies. So AWS best practices, Azure best practices, as described in the white papers and the use cases documented online. All those best practices are described in detail here. And again, in findings, the users will be able to pinpoint exactly which objects in the infrastructure are affected and what is the current finding values there. Vulnerability management is something that we recently added. So we're also scanning all the CVEs, all the VMware VMSAs, all the vulnerabilities reported for Kubernetes, VMware, and the technologies that we cover, and we are able to identify the patterns that are actually described here and expose any. Let me quickly close this. Yeah, expose any objects in the environment that potentially can be exploited for these vulnerabilities. The security compliance coverage is very comprehensive, so we cover many of the industry compliance requirements, and even some of the more, let's say, exotic ones, like the BSI IT Grundschutz, which is a requirement specific only to public companies in Germany, that needs to be covered by those companies. So also that compliance profile is covered, and all the additional compliance profiles can be enabled or disabled. In the settings page, we have a like knowledge profiles tab where all of these can be enabled or disabled based on the use case and the requirements in the specific environment. So yeah, we have like DISASTIG, HIPAA, GDPR, ISO, PCI DSS, some of the like really like broadly covered requirements in terms of compliance. Hardware compatibility, especially for the vSphere environments, is, as you know, very important. So all the ESXi hosts need to be on the VMware HCL. So what we're doing here is analyzing all the reported properties of the servers in the environment. So model, CPU series, sockets, BIOS versions, and also all the IO devices present on those hosts. And we're checking driver versions, firmware releases, and model versions, and comparing that to the HCL data. So here we can also even open the VMware HCL page and see that specific IO device. So there is this mapping done between the HCL requirements and what is on the environment. This is very useful to identify if there is any compatibility issue in the environment. And also another important and very valuable feature we have here is that before you plan any upgrade in the environment, so let's say when you're ready to upgrade to version 7.0.2, you can easily come here and simulate an upgrade. So I will simulate an upgrade on this vCenter, on all the hosts on this vCenter, and the analyzer will identify any potential compatibility issues with those hosts. So in this case, for example, the BIOS used in this server is not compatible at all with 7.0 update 2. And we can also check that on the VMware HCL. Whenever VMware and Dell will work together on validating this model, we are also automatically updating our database, so this will be reflected here in an automated way. Again, also on IO devices, we can see that 3 out of 4 are actually good, but this RAID bus controller actually is also uses a firmware and driver version that are actually not found, so not covered in the HCL. So in this case, you would know that probably it's not safe to update to 7.0 update 2 yet for these hosts. Yeah, there are lots of other useful features. For example, combining some of these different profiles and policies that we have, combining them and customizing them to create any custom profiles. So our users can create any profiles that are suited to their specific use case in the environment. And we're also covering basic log analysis, mainly focused at identifying issues that are being reported. So the configuration analysis part is the proactive part, where we look at the configuration and trying to identify any outages that can happen. The log analysis part is something that we do in a reactive way, just identifying the issues that are happening now and are actually known and documented in the VMware knowledge base or in some other sources. So based on the patterns found in the logs of the ESXi hosts, we can identify or correlate it to specific knowledge base articles. So then it becomes much easier to actually troubleshoot and resolve that issue that is being reported. So yeah, there are actually more pieces of functionality that are very useful and very valuable. We also have a web client plugin. So within vSphere, you can easily see the issues affecting different objects as you explore without having the need to log into Runecast Analyzer user interface. And we're also working on a vCloud Director plugin as well to have the same functionality there. And I invite everyone watching to go online and play with our online demo, or register for a trial on runecast.com and deploy it in the environment. It's really easy. It's within 10 minutes you can deploy the OVA and connect it to the environments to analyze.
So this has been really fantastic. It was a great update and really good demo. It's a lot of stuff I hadn't seen yet. I knew about the knowledge base, and it's good to see how much that has grown. The simulation thing was something new to me I hadn't seen before, and now peering into the logs as well. So definitely putting a lot of power and knowledge into the hands of these VMware admins.
That's right. And not only VMware admins, yeah, as we are expanding into the hybrid cloud, and also as we know, there aren't many only VMware admins left around. Most of us VMware admins have to cross-specialize into Kubernetes and public cloud as well.
It's
So
so
we
true.
are covering the growth of the VMware admin skill set with these additional technologies that have to be covered.
Yeah, this is great. I appreciate you taking time to speak with us today, and I definitely want to make sure that everybody who's watching takes advantage, goes to runecast.com and checks out the demo for themselves or trial. And no better way to try it out than to implement it into your own environment and give it a shot.
Definitely. Thanks, David.
All right, thank you. It was good speaking with you.
Pleasure is all mine.
All right.